Tonight we answer the age-old question, monkey or bear? Howdy ho, everybody. It's your boy Adam Pecora here, and welcome to another exciting edition of Requiem for a Tuesday. Please rate, review, and subscribe while you're at it. Check out all the links in the description below for lots of good stuff. We're on Apple, we're on Spotify, we're on Amazon, whatever there is. We're on it. Subscribe there, YouTube, subscribe there. And that's just good for me. So do a good thing for me. Thank you very much. Justice's new album, everybody. If you haven't listened to that, go check that out. I helped out a little, just a tiny little bit. But it's very good. It's very fun. All over the place, really, rhythmically. All types of different tempos and sounds and things. And that's music. That is music. Marathon by Chef Juice, streaming now everywhere. Go, go, go. After you subscribe to me. More me. There's merch. There's my Instagram. You can find it all. Thank you. So, yeah, accidentally took another week off. My bad. Had another little weekend trip. Me and the lady went up to Milwaukee. First time crossing a roundabout in a snowstorm. Don't recommend it, but luckily there's also less traffic in that situation. But that wasn't fun. Snow melted. There was a sidewalk in the center. Had no idea. But that was fun. Anyway, that was what I like to call a low energy Monday. You ever heard of that? You know what I'm talking about. You've been there. You feel me. So, yeah, it just wasn't in the cards. Or I don't know. Maybe something else happened. Or I had to be. I don't know. It's been a mad dash. These first couple months of 2025. They have flown by. I've been all over the Midwest. That's not even true. But the traveling is over. The miscellaneous running around, ideally, is over. So we may be back to a normal schedule here, ladies and gentlemen. But I keep telling you that, and I keep lying. So we'll see how that goes. Anyway, we're here to talk about two films this week. I suppose I'll just go in the order of which I saw them. We did a little double feature. Me and Miguel went down to the cinema on a Sunday. Hit Paddington. Hit the monkey back to back. I also saw Becoming Led Zeppelin on Saturday. If you like Led Zeppelin, you'll like it. I think. I did. It's a little boring. It's a little PBS-y. But they got the three surviving members to sit down, albeit individually. They unearthed a rare John Bonham interview that they edited and interspersed nicely to kind of just go along with the questions, or I guess they kind of guided their questions for the three other guys around that interview. Either way, it's kind of a look at all four of them. It just kind of shares what their mentality was for the rise up. You know, it's all kind of well documented, outside of learning like individual perspectives in certain moments. It's kind of all already out there. I mean, Jimmy Page was in the Yardbirds briefly, then the Yardbirds fell apart, but then he's like, I'm still trying to be in a band. And basically just reformed the entire band. He was like the only member that stayed, and then they turned into Led Zeppelin. And Jimmy Page was a great session guy, and so was John Paul. So they ripped right away, and they knew to record their own music, and they were like the first people to own their own music. Probably not. That's not the case. I'm sure the Beatles own their own music right away also. Or at least by the time Zeppelin came up, maybe they were already doing that. I don't really know, but the point is you kind of knew that stuff. You knew that Robert Plant liked The Lord of the Rings. I mean, that wasn't a secret. We didn't need to find that out. Yeah, I guess the most interesting stuff came from the bassist. I mean, he was basically just like, yeah, I was just pretty aware of how great John Bonham was, so I kind of just, everything I wrote was just so the drums would sound better. And the drums sound fucking amazing, John, and so does the bass. So does everything. Great band. Great band. My father was upset that it ended after Led Zeppelin 2. It's called Becoming Led Zeppelin. Anyway, the movie would have been 5.5 hours long if they kept going the rest of the way. They only made it to like 1969 in the movie. We're supposed to do 11 more years? I like the detailing. Now, I don't think there's any plan to do more. And the movie does just literally just end. They just like fade it right after one last question. So they did not do a good job of that. But there's some really cool like archival concert footage. Some of them look like they were for TV already anyway. But man, they just fucking ripped. And you watch them as they get, I mean, it's only like 2 years. They were basically just instant. I mean, it was instant. Their ascension is crazy. And that was kind of true of like everybody back in the day. It was just like somebody heard you sing and you had a record deal if you were good. But this was like on another level to where they were, just like I said, it was just instant. And then you watch them go from like being slightly unsure to just being like supremely confident, like immediately. So fun stuff. Anyway, watch it streaming. It wouldn't be worth the price of admission, in my opinion. Shout out Led Zeppelin. Anyway, Paddington in Peru. What a delight. I mean, what more can I say right off the bat? If you saw Paddington, you loved it. If you saw Paddington 2, you loved it. Okay? You're going to see Paddington in Peru. You're going to love it. I mean, look, I think this has been documented on the Paddington episode that was done on this show at some point. I was skeptical. Didn't even know the first one came out. Then Paddington 2 explodes. Boom. This is the highest critical rating any movie's ever had type thing. You know the whole story. It had 100% for like 300 reviews or something crazy. Not that Rotten Tomatoes is a great barometer all the time, but there are moments like this in which it's like, that's impressive. So, yeah, I guess in general, I take stock in Rotten Tomatoes when it's the extremes, but anything in between is completely up in the air and then usually egregious anyway. Things are typically too low or too high when they're from the 30 to 60 range. It's like opposites all the time. Whatever. This is not a case study on Rotten Tomatoes. Anyway, so it's like, how good could this really be? And then you watch Paddington 1 and you're like, holy shit, the second one's better than this? This movie is awesome. It's like if Wes Anderson made a kids movie that was actually for kids. Like, not like Fantastic Mr. Fox, where he just wrote a Wes Anderson movie and it's animated and it's technically based on a children's book. It's like, no, this is somehow for children, but who would not enjoy this? And like, just the pure craftsmanship of it was excellent. Like, it's a well-made film, period. And then being able to appeal to both adults and children, I find it would be an incredible high wire act to create. I mean, what could a child like? I mean, I have no idea. So that seems difficult enough, let alone when you're trying to appeal to both. Anywho, Little Bear is adorable. It's great. Then Paddington 2, they knock it out of the park yet again. Add Hugh Grant. Hugh Grant, by the way, At least since 2020, but I mean, Paddington was before that. So what, the last 10 years, he has had an incredible arc addition to his career. I don't know what term I'm supposed to use there. It's definitely not that. But bravo, Hugh Grant, for just completely nailing the upper middle-aged part of your career, however old you are. I imagine you're 60 at least, Mr. Grant. My apologies if you're younger. Anyway, the guy's been on fire. So now we're on to Paddington in Peru. Now, I was a little skittish going into this movie because Paul King made the first two movies, and he did a tremendous job. He left to do the Wonka movie. I still have not seen it, but shout out Chalamet. So it's a new guy. It's an unknown guy. Will this fall off a cliff? Will this be the cash grab sequel? No. The answer is no, 100% no. Is this a seamless transition? I would also say no, but there are no parts of this movie where I go like, ooh. It's really just that they go from constructed to unconstructed. They go from a city to the jungle. So it's hard to add like the symmetry elements and the vibrant colors and knickknacks and things because they're simply not there. This movie has the simplest plot of them all, I think. Well, the plot of the first one is just he's a bear. Adopt him, I think. No, but there's a villain involved as well. But what does she want with him? I don't remember. Whatever. The second one, Hugh Grant, the whole thing. There's a lot going on. I don't really remember the gist of it, to be honest with you. I just know that it's a delight. They're in jail. They got to break out of jail. He's a theater director. Whatever. This one, it's the aunt's in trouble. He wanted to go see her anyway. Oh, that's not true. They go see the aunt. Then they get there. They discover she has just gone missing and is in trouble. Okay. So the family packs up, goes to Peru. They do a little recap thing at the beginning. Here's what everybody's been up to. They do a nice little thing where they're like, oh, the mom's been painting. And then the painting turns into this like beautiful animation that takes over the whole screen. Really just a whole lot of craft in this. They fly down to Peru. The plane's a nice little like claymation crafty thing. They're being artistic and childish at the same time. Impressive. They're in Peru. She's living at a retired bear's home with a bunch of nuns. And the place is clearly very weird. And something's going on there. That's when they find out that she has disappeared. And they have to get a boat. And they find out where she is because she left a note for Paddington. They get on a boat with Antonio Banderas. So this is kind of the flaw of the movie, is that Antonio Banderas becomes the bad guy along the way, but there's never really that much of a threat, especially because he's pretty much disconnected. It ends up connecting okay, but overall he's disconnected from the main part of the story entirely. So it turns out that where they're going, the note that was left by the grandma is actually the lost city of El Dorado, the city of gold. You may have heard of it. And Antonio Banderas and his daughter come from a lineage of crazy gold hunters. So that's the conflict there. It's then revealed that back at the home for bears that the nun is up to something. And she has surveillance over the people going after the mama bear. So what happens is they get there. It's discovered that Paddington's bracelet was the key to the city of El Dorado. This is when Antonio Banderas turns on everybody. They get into adventures along the way. Whatever. The boat crashes. Nothing happens to anybody. Everybody's fine. The nun then is like, they made it to the city of El Dorado. I've been tracking them the whole time. That's weird. And then they fly a plane to where they're at. Where do they land the plane? You don't know. And then they just pick everybody up somehow. No, they show them land it. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's a mess, though. The logistical mess of the whole thing is kind of egregious. It's basically like the plane just shows up and then they're just there and then they're just back on the plane. How do they take off? None of it makes any sense. They're in the middle of the jungle. Anyway, it's like, why wasn't it just a plane that can land in water, but then it's a river? Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. I don't know. Anyway, so then the nun shows up, and they kind of thwart Antonio Banderas via love and compassion after the nun reveals that she's actually also part of the crazy gold lineage and placed herself at the home and set the whole thing up, and that there wasn't actually a note from the aunt. She just shipped her down the river, and she just marked El Dorado, knowing that because Paddington has the key with his bracelet, that he would lead them to the city of gold. They end up thwarting the nun, and then Antonio Banderas and his daughter just kind of leave. They're just like, all right, whatever. Then it's revealed that the city of gold was an orange grove, and Paddington makes his favorite snack of marmalade, and they all live happily ever after. And those bears found the aunt because she was shipped all the way down the river, and that just worked out nicely. So yeah, it's kind of a one-note story. It kind of lacks momentum, but it goes by very quickly. It's very enjoyable the whole time. Paddington, a delightful character, portrayed well. They really, really tug at your heartstrings at the end because Paddington, they allude like he wants to stay behind and be with his home bears and the tribe that he is from. But then he pulls the rug out and he's like, can I please come home with you? And they're like, why would you even ask that? Which is kind of funny because, of course, you wouldn't ask that. But that's classic Paddington. What a lovable bear. And then they kind of do a recap, kind of like at the beginning, like here's how everything ended up. And they exile the nun to Alaska. Antonio Banderas and his daughter, become not crazy officially. And then all the Amazon bears come to visit England and they talk to Hugh Grant in prison, alluding to Paddington 4. Now, I have one major thought about the naming conventions of this franchise. Paddington, Paddington 2, Paddington in Peru. Why do the 2? Now, did they know they were going to do a 3? Probably not. But why not just call this one Paddington 3? Here's my stipulation. If you're going to go away from the numbers altogether, that's okay. My preference is now every time it has to rhyme with 2 and Peru. So whatever that may be, it's tough. I don't know. Paddington, much ado. Parentheses, about nothing. If it's going to be about the theater. I don't know what it is, but it should rhyme going forward. That would be fun. If they call it Paddington 4, though, I'm upset. We need to retroactively call this Paddington 3. Okay? Paddington cannot turn into Fast and the Furious. We can't have it. All right. Moving on to the second edition of the Double Feature, The Monkey. Osgood Perkins, director of Longlegs, a movie I did not enjoy that, was the product of great marketing, which also ruined the movie by marketing it incorrectly. It was not as advertised. So I kind of didn't want to see this, but it seemed like the hype was growing, building. A lot of people tell me, I'm going to go see The Monkey. All right. As an official Regal Unlimited member, I took it upon myself to say, fuck it. Okay. I just said, whatever. I'll see it. Who cares? It also lined up very well with the ending of Paddington in Peru. So, by the way, I had some peanut butter M&Ms throughout the previews and maybe 30 minutes of this movie. Phenomenal snack. Reese's Pieces. I mean, why didn't Reese's Pieces try to emulate this? Why is there no chocolate in a Reese's Pieces? Or if there is, it's very minimal. It just doesn't make sense. The peanut butter M&M, there's actually, you suck the little peanut butter out of there. It's a little salty, too. Nice, salty, sweet. Now, what I need from M&M's to really just complete the whole package, can we do a dual bag? I want peanut butter M&Ms and I want pretzel M&Ms, and I want those mixed in 50-50 into a thing. That would be fucking nice. All right. So yeah, it wasn't, my expectations were not too high. I also don't really like Stephen King stuff. I mean, outside the major heavy hitters, Shawshank barely counts anyway. The Shining, he doesn't like the movie, which bothers me, but at the same time, I get it. That's like a personal boozy book for him. So whatever, he was too close. Even when something starts off good, it just always then takes that turn. And it's like, but it was actually the Goblin. And it's like, well, couldn't this just have been like a murder thriller? Now it's, now it's a fantasy thing. Anyway, whatever. Not a huge Stephen King guy is my point. And, it's a dumb little monkey, whatever. Okay. Theo James is good. He was great in The White Lotus. Osgood Perkins also. Was reading about him. He was like talking about making this movie, and he's like, well, it was originally very serious, but it is about a toy monkey, so I thought we should make it funny. And also, my parents died very tragically and weirdly, so I thought, this is perfect for me. Let's have some fun with it. And it's like, wait, what? Let me look it up. I don't know. I mean, I assume that this is obviously known. It's not a secret, but I didn't realize he was the son of Anthony Perkins, Norman Bates of Psycho. He died of AIDS. Didn't know that. That's interesting. And then his mom died on 9/11. That's insane. So, Osgood Perkins, I apologize for the heavy amount of criticism. You have been through a lot, good sir. Now, this, like Longlegs, very well constructed movie. This movie is just very thin. Basically, here's what happens. The precursor, as Adam Scott, was these kids' dad. He had a problem with the monkey, and he fled, so his kids wouldn't be killed because of him, basically. Kids grow up without a dad. The one kid takes it very hard. They're twin brothers. And he's just kind of a dick to his other brother. And the one brother, he's basically a dork, has glasses. People make fun of him. A lot of terrible things happen. They happen because of his brother also, because his brother bullies him so much. One day they're going through a closet that has they're going through a closet that has like a bunch of their dad's old stuff. Find a box. They find the monkey in it. Jesus, do you hear me? I'm just choking right now. Will I make it through this episode? We'll see. So they find the monkey, and then eventually they turn the key, whatever, and somebody dies. Who dies? I forgot who dies first. But somebody they know dies first. Oh, yeah, it was their babysitter. She dies at like a Benihana. Pretty sick. A lot of good kills in this. It's very fun. The pace is good. The energy's frenetic. Performances are all good. It's just kind of empty. We'll get there. So after that, the dorky brother gets bullied at school, and it goes too far, and it's because of his brother, and he turns the key and is like, kill my brother. But the thing doesn't take requests, and it kills their mom in front of the mean brother. We flash forward. They dropped the monkey in a well and left. And now it's 25 years later. They're estranged. And the Dorky brothers who were centered on. And he does the same thing with his kid that his dad did with him. He only sees his kid once a year for a week at a time. He shows up to see his kid. And then Elijah Wood is like the stepdad. He's like, I'm adopting your kid. And he's like, you do that? And he's like, I'm going to do whatever I want. Anyway. Starts to hang out with his kid. And they're like going to go to an amusement park or whatever. Then all of a sudden his brother calls him out of nowhere. And he's like, you need to go to our aunt's house. Like they had like swinger aunt and uncle who took care of them or whatever. She dies in a freak accident. And the brother's like, I think the monkey's back. And he's like, the monkey's definitely back. And then the uncle dies in a freak accident. And then a bunch of people keep dying in freak accidents. And the real estate lady's like, everybody's dying. And then it's revealed that the brother has had the monkey the whole time and has been sitting in a room, spinning the key, trying to kill his brother for killing their mom, which the brother never confessed, but he knew the whole time anyway. There's also like a weird subplot where he hired some kid to retrieve the monkey from the well for him. Or no, it was from the estate sale at the aunt's house or something. Somehow the kid ended up with the monkey. And then the kid got like obsessed with it for no reason. And like also because his dad was missing. But they don't really elaborate on why that is. Or it's just like implied that like if your dad's missing, you love the monkey. Like that was just weird and like didn't add anything to the movie. And then the kid just like kind of threatens people, but just nothing happens and he gets killed. So anyway, at gunpoint, he takes the Dorky brother and his son to the evil brother's house. The kid turns the key. Somebody else dies. And then the crazy brother spazzes out, fucks with the monkey. The thing goes crazy, and there's like a bunch of disasters in town, and like hundreds of people die or whatever. And then the two brothers just like make amends, and then it's over, and then the other brother dies as like the last kill, and then they're like, we're going to protect the monkey. So basically my point is that's the whole thing. There's just not a lot to the story. They don't reveal anything about the dad. They don't reveal anything about the monkey. They don't reveal anything about the other characters. They don't reveal anything about anybody. They're like, there was a monkey. The dad had the monkey. The kids now have the monkey. The kids still have the monkey. The monkey kills people. Like that's it. There's just like not a whole lot to it. And like I said, the movie is fun. It's filled with jokes. The pace is good. The kills are fun. They're too few and far between because there's like a ton and then there's none. And then all of a sudden it's back and there's a lot. So it's kind of uneven too. Like the middle is like really dull when it's just the guy and his kid because they don't, like I said, they don't reveal anything. They just kind of keep talking. And the kid, like the dad just like doesn't really ever reveal anything to the kid. And they just have like a shitty relationship. And that's it. And nothing changes. Nothing happens. There's no reason for the scene where he's like, I'm going to get adopted just because it kind of comes up in a few conversations. But like it doesn't impact the story. It's just very empty. It's just very clear that this was a short story. Like the fact that Shawshank is a short story. It's like, how'd they get all this material from that? And I don't think that the regular story is like the movie. I think it's, they built a whole lot out of it. I could be wrong about that. So I just wish there was more. That's my thing for the monkey. A fun, fine movie, better than Long Legs. I'd watch it again for fun, but, doesn't jump out at you as anything crazy special. So that was this week's double feature. Thanks for tuning in to Requiem for a Tuesday. Please rate, review, and subscribe to this podcast wherever you're listening to it. I'd really appreciate it. Thank you very much for listening. We got merch at rfat.bigcartel.com. We got music. We got lots of stuff. You can follow me on Instagram at m.rfat. Check out all the links in the description below. We'll link you to all those platforms where you can subscribe and leave a review and all that good stuff. So yeah, that's all we got. I should be back next week. I hope I'm not lying this time. And remember, I are fat. You are fat. We are fat. Calculator.